Hello, greetings, welcome. It is a pleasure to be able to speak with you today, and it is my true wish that the words that pour forth from me will bring you solace and will assist you in discovering the wellspring of peace and love and joy that is always emanating from the center of your chest. The center of your chest, the heart center, it is the meeting point of the lower three energy centers and the upper three energy centers. It is a passageway that all of those energies travel through, and it is our true gift of humans, this heart center, this heart chakra, this anahata chakra, and everything that you need for your journey is there. And the way to find this treasure trove, to find it, to communicate with it, the way to discover the true treasure within is to, now this might be hard for some people, but it is absolutely the way. It is through stillness, and that takes constant vigilance and practice. I mean, as I'm sitting here, I notice that I'm starting to create tension in my body, in my shoulders, in my solar plexus. It's like the mind plays tricks on you and tells you lies. Not the mind, but the ego, that voice within that is not your true voice, the voice within that's trying to control everything and keep you safe. But when you can still that inner voice, that ego mind, when you can turn away from it, basically is turning your back on it and turning toward the true voice, the true inner being. That is when you will be in touch with the divinity, the treasure, the pure source. It's not enough to coddle the false voice. It's not enough to distract the false voice. It is truly enough to turn away from it, to uncreate it in that way. You can't blow it up. You can't destroy it. But the more you turn away from it, the more you ignore it, the more it will dwindle and just shrink and shrivel up, and then it will die. It is attention that keeps it alive. So when you take away your attention, I have this weird chapstick on. It's really thick. When you take your attention from it, turn away from it, ignore it, turn toward your true voice, which speaks truth, and listen to that voice, then you will discover your true nature, which is purity, which is light, which is joy, love, inner peace, all of the goodies that are truly within you, and right there, always there for you to turn toward and discover and learn and befriend. It is a process. There are a few people who have instantaneous connection and never turn away. And it's possible. It's truly possible. It's not common, and it's rare. So a good way to go about discovering the silence within and the truth within is to practice this stillness, to practice listening. And it is sort of, it goes against everything that you thought was true, which is everything that you've learned since you incarnated. Everything that you've learned since you incarnated, almost 100% of it is false, is a great lie. So I kind of almost equate that overlay, that false overlay, with the false voice. I kind of want to steer away from calling it ego, because I don't know, the ego is such a benign term. It's so psychological and so Western. It's just such a, I don't know, it just feels like that sort of cinches the deal when you use that term. Sort of like, oh yes, I've labeled it, now it exists. And I do want to steer away from that and not use that term. So I guess I'll just call it the false voice and the voice of lies. It's untrue. Everything that it says, everything that it tries to get you to think is not true. So when you turn away from it and ignore it and turn toward the truth, then you've got the business. You've got you're hooked in, you know. So yeah, it's a process to learn what's true, and it is universal. And I've noticed lately that I get really kind of anxious, or I start to get kind of like when I feel the truth settling in to me, when I start to get really calm and really kind of not having much to do, even though there's a million trillion things that I could be doing, projects, unfinished projects, books, exercise, dishes. I mean, there's a million things that I could do. I could get up at sunrise and start working with my nose to the grindstone and not take any breaks till I pass out in bed, to do it all over again the next day and still never accomplish all of the tasks that I feel need to be done. So when I find myself sitting and doing nothing and starting to sink into that state of pure awareness and consciousness and bliss, that the false voice goes, you should be doing something, you should be working, you should be creating, you should be, like that. And then I feel the dissonance within and the disharmony, and so it's a learning process, and it's a practice. There's a practice that you do when you wake up, and it's just sitting still and breathing and quieting your mind for 20 minutes. But then there's also the daily practice, the 12 hours or the 15 hours or however many hours you're awake, the practice of stillness in motion. And that is, if you need to sit quietly, even though you've got a mountain of tasks, then you sit quietly and just be, just listen. And it takes some getting used to. It takes almost a perpetual turning away from the falseness, the false diatribe, the false constant stream of verbiage. So I'd like to encourage you that if you are on this path of wanting to connect with your inner being and hear the truth and listen, just want to encourage you to let it be okay to stop producing. It's okay. Thank you so much for listening today and for your presence and for continuing on your journey when it would be so much easier to stop. I appreciate that. It is in stillness and in silence that we find